So, new guys, we're a couple of months in. How are you finding the shows so far? The schedule, the audiences, everything. How are you all feeling?
I found that when we were first starting the process, Matt, and sometimes we obviously go to the theatre to practice elements of the show. And then on my journey home, I suddenly started to realise how many people you pass in the street wearing Gryffindor scarves and things like that.
Yeah.
It just seems so normal, and then suddenly you tune into it and then you're like, oh, this is massive. And it's such a huge part of so many people's lives that I don't think I quite understood that until I started this show, and now suddenly I've started to see just how expansive this kind of world is. So it's amazing to be a part of that.
I had a similar experience when Magic John showed us the video of, is it 1st of September?
Yeah, I
when
was
they gather
there,
at
yeah.
King's Cross.
Yeah.
And when he showed me that video of the crowd there, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people like Harry Potter.
Also, I think we didn't really need the warm-ups that we had in rehearsals because there's so many stairs in the theatre.
Oh my goodness.
I have got the chunkiest thighs since we relocated to the theatre.
And we're not allowed to use the lifts during the show as well. So it's poor
Constantly.
people on floor 5 as well.
Something that was really interesting to kind of get into was the difference between rehearsals and, like you're saying with the warm-ups, but the rehearsals and then starting the show. Just the difference of that process and running it and doing it within the space that we had when we were doing rehearsals, and then putting it on stage with all that lighting and that mood and the music. And once we teched it, it was like, oh my goodness, it's really alive. It's crazy how it just flows.
Yeah. Because actually, the play itself is good enough to play in a rehearsal room without the magic and the sets. Because the play that Jack and John have made is amazing, but it's when you put all the other stuff in it,
all the
just
bells and whistles.
flies.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And it's a big show. Because in the rehearsal room, it feels like a play.
Yeah,
really.
it feels really intimate, doesn't it? It feels like,
like a little family story, and then becomes something
epic.
else.
Yeah.
I loved the reminder of that, having gone from doing the shows in Australia for quite a long time on stage. Not that you forget the rehearsal process, and not that you forget what the show is at its core, but then going back into the rehearsal room, stripping it back, there was some of the most incredible moments just sitting there and just going, oh, this is actually such a beautiful story on its own.
At its core, yeah.
And then layering it back up again. That was an absolute gift.
My favourite scene is watching the final scene with you two in the rehearsal room, because that's just two people talking, and you realise, as you said, that this is with all the bells and whistles, it's an epic story, but at the heart of it, it's about family and it can just be told beautifully.
How has it been joining this cast after spending so long in Melbourne and obviously doing the 2 parts and then the 1 part and then joining this little team here? How's it been?
Oh, it's been absolutely wonderful. I mean, I've sort of had a double experience. I've been starting the new time with all of these new wonderful people and being a newbie myself, so that's been exciting. But then I've also met distant family members that have been telling the same story across the seas, and the show is the same. It is the same show. So when you are, listening to certain parts of the music tracks that go along with the show, or those things that are set in stone, you go, oh wow, yeah, it really hits you. We've been listening to the same things, we've been watching the same things, doing the same illusions, but it's so unique to the people that are doing it. And that's been such a beautiful thing. And it's definitely a little bit colder when I leave the theatre at night. I've definitely noticed that there's a bit of a difference with the audience's reactions to certain things, just because we're in a different hemisphere. I mean, I was also terrified to be one of the only people doing an accent. But I've been embraced with open arms.
Yeah, no, your accent's great.
Polly and Alice are doing accents.
I mean, this is true.
And so am I.
There is something extra special about doing a show where it was written, created, and set. It just adds an extra layer of depth that you can try, but I don't think you can fully recreate. How has it been for you with a new company of faces?
Yeah, so it's I I've re-rehearsed this show quite a few times now, and it'll never be the same as when I rehearsed it the first time, because I don't, not just because I'm doing it for the first time and learning it, but it's also the first time I rehearse this show is the only time that I haven't been doing the show at the same time, if you see what I mean. Mm-hmm. And that's a real kind of, every year, that excitement and pure and utter confusion of being in a rehearsal room all day with one set of people and then doing the show with another set of people, and they all do different things. But also it's brilliant just sort of going from that to going back into a rehearsal room, stripping it bare without all the bells and whistles, and seeing everyone discover it for the first time and see how it all pieces together and have their minds blown in the same way that I was. And that's always lovely to see, and see what everyone brings to it, the changes that are made. Some of them not so great, but
You're stuck with me.
I'm so joking. It's all brilliant. Yeah, and it's just been so lovely being on stage with you all, because I waited so long to do it. And, it's just been wonderful.
It's been amazing for us.
It really has.
great.
I get to kiss Jade, 4 times a show, is it?
At least.
At least. Yeah.
So Denitra, baby girl, Ellis, Harry, what's it been like to have your West End debut?
Utterly insane. Like, mad when you get up there and like, you're like, there's 1,000 million people watching you and you're just like center stage sometimes. You're like, wow, like everyone's expecting me to say something amazing now. But it's been really good, I think. I think the way that we hold each other backstage and like in the wings has been really lovely, and like I never feel like I'm out there and I'm out there on my own. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's really nice.
You see like the grand theatre and the grand like show that's presented before you, but actually what I think you sometimes don't realise, and what I didn't appreciate, was actually the heart of the people within the show backstage, and how supported I felt throughout this entire process, that I didn't ever feel like I was battling or fighting, or that it was this like massive boulder that I had to push up a hill. I felt like I had 46 other people pushing that boulder with me. There's been no moment in this process where I thought I'm alone, or that this is a scary, daunting thing, because the entire time, even people who are legendary actors who have careers that I could only aspire to, or David, like hearing people like that still say that they were nervous at opening night. I'm like, oh, we are all still people at the end of the day, and I mean that never comes away from going into this process. I felt, and I remember having conversations at the pub with my friends where I thought, I said, I was like, oh, I'm like this little nobody, and I was like, I just don't think anyone's gonna want to be friends with me. Oh, and then I remember the first like day where it was the Tuesday, not the Monday. I did make friends on the Monday as well. But the Tuesday when it was all kind of like the Scoobies in and whatever, and I met everyone, and I was like, oh, everyone's really nice. Yeah. And they're actually asking me questions about me. Yeah. Like, this is really strange. I just wasn't expecting that at all. Like, there's little elements of the show that I mean, whether they like it or not, Jade and Polly, every interval now I pop in and say hi, and we have a little bit of a catch up and whatever. But I just was not expecting to have that experience. But like, literally within the first week, there was not a shadow of doubt that I would be having a wonderful time in this journey. And I am. Like, it's absolutely brilliant, and I'm just so happy.
No, it's really lovely, and I think, any job that you do, you're going into a group of people, and this is a big group of people, where you've no idea if you're all going to get on, and this is a long year, and actually everybody is totally charming, and it's a joy to kind of see everybody, whatever mood you're in, when you get to work and people say hi. It's a real spirit lifter. It's a really, it feels a very special company.
Doing the show in a different place for such a long time, and having made those beautiful connections and some best friends for life, I was fearful as well that I wouldn't make the same connections, that I would be sort of putting something on a pedestal, and it just hasn't been the case. No. Because the family just grows, and it just grows wider and deeper, and it's been really, really amazing. Yeah.
And I mean, it's my West End debut, and you three and the rest of the young team have been totally inspiring for me. your confidence, your kind of excitement, the way the excitement just trumps the nerves every time. I always kind of just, it's really, really helped me to watch you and be like, they're more excited than nervous on the first day. I remember I was like, you're like, I'm just ready to do the show now. And I was like, okay, so you've been inspiring to me.
I wouldn't undersell yourself though, because the shock that just came around this when you reminded us it's also your West End debut. Everyone went,
I was like,
oh yeah, what? So yeah, don't undersell yourself, Jade. It's pretty, incredible what you do. Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of just following on from what all of you have said, because I've been saying for so long, it hasn't sunk in that it's a West End debut. It hasn't. There's not been a moment other than maybe opening night where me and you were in that dressing room and you had that excitement building and I was mortified. But other than that
we were
day,
like polar opposites. I was definitely like, I don't know which one's which. One of us was yin, one of us was yang. And
you had
I
the
was,
music
I was
on.
like, house music, like, I'm so excited, let's go. And he's like, this and
but I said, there's not been a moment I've thought, the kind of epicness and the weight, the pressure of a West End debut hasn't hit me. And it's because of what you said, that support of the company since day one of rehearsals. And that was a really beautiful thing. So since then, that support has kind of just kept it so relaxed and so warm. And that's why it's just, like you said, it's just a beautiful company, isn't it? It's just a great group of people.
So where were you all when you found out about getting the gig?
I was halfway home from a little Sainsbury's and I'd refused to buy a bag. So I was holding like minced turkey, a gallon of apple juice, eggs, coleslaw, everything, trying to balance it. And I was getting like phone calls from my industry liaison at school because I was still at school at the time. And I was like, oh, she won't leave me alone. Like, girl, like this isn't time. I thought, she keeps ringing, it must be important. So I'm like trying to balance it in one hand. I'm like, hi, hi. And she was like, so are you sitting? And I was like, I'm as far away from sitting as I could be right now. It's far away. She's like, well, they like you. You got the job. And I was like, wow, like I'm trying not to keep holding the coleslaw. Yeah. And then got home and I was like, and I told her actually I might turn back and get myself a little bit of prosecco.
Brilliant.
What was it like? Because obviously you were graduating as well.
Yeah.
So you two guys, that must have been.
It was
incredible.
insane. Yeah.
The round that I met you was the day before my agent showcase at college. So I had to strike a deal with the creatives on that, who were all people that I knew very well and had trained me for 4 years. But I got the email through on the Monday and I was like, oh, it's on Thursday and the showcase on Friday. I'd taken it on Thursday. I was like, look, is there any way I can go to this? So what they did was they managed to tech the show around me.
Wow.
There were people standing for my places that basically meant that when I came, I did that reading, because I'm ACLO, it helps that I was the first one of the day. So I did my reading, then walked 20 minutes down the road to the theatre where our showcase was, teched in as much as I could, then I had an alarm on my phone, got to go do the movement round, then came back, did the movement round, and then finished that, and then went back and had to finish teching my show.
Wow.
You finished teching after that movement round? I couldn't move after that. You're kidding me.
Yeah.
I bet they are so glad they made that decision.
Yeah,
to
they're quite happy now. Yeah. I mean, but I remember when I got the original email through saying, can you come audition for it? I was in the car with my parents and I went, guys, I'm going to be in Harry Potter. I'm going to be in Harry Potter. And then, it was a long process. And then there was kind of the final round where it was the final one that we did with John Tiffany and everyone from the producers and the casting. It was like a massive day. And then we kind of had a week then until we found out that we actually got the job. If I had been sat at home that entire time, I would have absolutely lost my mind. But I've been busy, I was working, I was doing shifts at the restaurant and whatever. And then I remember I had a Wednesday and I texted my agent. I said, have we heard anything? Because it's my day off today and I'm going to lose my mind if I don't hear. And he was like, no. And still, he was like, they said, so I made myself a sausage bat, sat at my dining table in my dressing gown. And then I got a call from my agent. I picked it up and it was a FaceTime and I was like this. I was like, oh, sorry, I'm in my dressing gown. And he was like, you got it. Thank God I didn't have to sit on it all day because I would have lost my mind. And then, I just I just played feel good tunes in the shower for about 25 minutes. I was just like showering, I kept going.
So I got a call at about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I was in my bed, and I shot up and answered the phone. It was middle of the week. And like we'd had that, yeah. Because unlike Harry, I didn't work, I'd taken a week off. So I was in my bed, I don't think I'd slept for a week. I was just staring at the ceiling going, I'm going to find out soon, I've got to find out soon, I've got to find out. And I got this call, I woke up and I said, hello. And my agent told me, hi, we've got an audition next week for something, just this thing that came about. And I went, oh, great, that's really good. Thanks for letting me know via phone call. Middle of the week, right after the finals for Harry Potter. Thank you. It just made my heart ache. And she said, and she knew, she could tell what I told her. She went, listen, we'll find out when we find out. You've just got to let it go. Focus on the next thing. Focus on you. And I went, you're totally right. And I hung up the phone and just stared at the ceiling for another 20 minutes, I think, passed. And she phoned me again. And she was getting emotional. And she said, Ellis, I can't believe it. Like, they've just called me right after we hung up the phone and you've got it.
No way.
And I had a chat with my agent and sorted all that type of stuff out, and then I proceeded to sit in my shower for about an hour with music playing, just crying and then cheering and then crying some more, and we couldn't tell anybody. You have to keep it very secret, so we couldn't tell each because we did the finals together and we spoke for the whole of the process. So we couldn't tell each other, and we didn't find out until our costume.
I think we sent a message the day before to each other, going, "Hey mate, have you heard anything? No, not heard anything." And then when I found out I got the job, my agent knew that I'd made friends with this lad who was in for Albus, and he specifically said, "You cannot speak to anyone else who you're auditioning with." So we just then went from like speaking to each other quite a lot to never saying another word.
To radio silence. Until the costume, the first costume fitting, and I came down the elevator and I came out into that cool station, sitting area, and he was sitting there with his cool jacket that I always complimented, and I was like, "No way!" And he just went crazy, and jumped in a circle together. Yeah, it's really cool.
Nice.
That's brilliant. We had the same thing that we weren't allowed to tell anyone. But I did tell a few people just because they already knew I was auditioning for it, because we were told we weren't even allowed to say what we were auditioning for. I don't know if that's still the same thing. And one of my closest friends knew that I was auditioning for this, and then when I got it, I told him, and he then told his wife, and she texted me a congratulations message, but went onto her WhatsApp and just found the first Tom Aldridge, and it was a WhatsApp group that I'd set up to announce the birth of my second child. So it was like about 150 people on this WhatsApp group. And she went, Tommy, luckily she didn't say the name of the job, but she said, Tommy, I can't believe you got it. Congratulations. And then I had to phone her and go, don't write anymore.
Say nothing else. Okay, she didn't say what it was then.
Didn't say what it was.
3, 2,
1.
It's really interesting taking on characters that are so well known and so well loved, like stepping into that and deciding how we're gonna have our take on that, how we're gonna share that with an audience. Like, how's it been for you, David? Because you've got the most known, the most loved one.
Yeah, I guess people tend to know who Harry Potter is. Probably most people in the world know who Harry Potter is or recognise the name. So it's quite interesting taking on the role of Harry Potter, because you feel like you're taking in your hands something that's really precious and means a lot to a lot of people, and who's probably been with them through their childhood. And the nice thing about doing the play is that you get to do it 20 years after he leaves Hogwarts. So I'm not trying to be a 16-year-old Harry and try and be what people imagined him, like Daniel Radcliffe did. I'm one step removed from the character they know and love. So you have a little bit more give in who he is, but you also have a huge amount of knowledge about who the character is before you start playing him. Yeah. So you get a lot given to you in that sense of what's behind the things that he says in the play, because you've read about it in book 3 or book 4. And also Jack's written, and John and everyone who's written the play has written an incredibly rounded character who has a lot of issues with how he deals with his son and his wife and his friends so yeah, in a way, you've got all of that, but then actually when you step on stage, you've got to forget it and think, well, this is my Harry. But
I think it's so true as well that that enough time has passed. You know, as adults, we know that time and events shape you as adults massively, and so you're right. We're not taking on these characters. It's kind of different for you guys because these are brand new characters. For us four, it's that these characters are hugely loved, and people have lived and grown up with these characters and turned to these characters as well. Like some of the fans that I've met over the years have said, you know, I had this, you know, I was going through this horrible period. I was having grief, and I turned to the books, and it got me through. And your character, you know, helped get me through it. And there's a huge amount of pressure in that. However, as you say, we aren't playing these characters as they were in the books. And 19 years has gone past, so we do have a certain amount of license.
But it's also a huge gift as well. It's not like the pressure isn't a bad thing. It's you feel it every time I walk out on stage at the top of the show. You just feel 1,500 people going, "It's Harry Potter," and you immediately get like it's like an underarm. You know, you're like, "Oh, well, they love this character already."
Yeah.
And that's a lovely thing to take on stage.
And then by extension of that, they're really fascinated in the characters that they've never met, being the family of the people that they know. So you can feel the sense that they really want to get to know you too, because of the line that you come from. And I think that's really lovely.
And they root for the two of you so hard in the show. Yeah.
You've always been a fan of Harry Potter, right?
Like, yeah. Just a small fan. No, I mean, we were brought up on Harry Potter and the books and that world, and it, especially in my household, it was always something I was just absolutely obsessed with and in love with growing up. And I used to collect all the wands every time I'd come to London, and dress up as Harry Potter, and you know, I'd grow with as the books did and find new favourite characters and new journeys. And then when the play came out, I fell in love with that even more, and the writing and the journey, and to see Harry now as a dad and how he, you know, navigates fatherhood, and I fell in love with Albus as a character, and the story he tells in his relationship with Scorpius was really special to read and to discover as the play goes on. So now I'm here doing it. It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's really amazing.
For me, like, Harry Potter's always been something that's been a massive part of my family, and it's always been something that we've kind of done together. I remember we did like a trip I'm from Plymouth, like London's reasonably far away from where we are. I remember one time we came up to do like the Harry Potter studios and things like that, or we always watched the movies at Christmas, or like I was always getting Harry Potter presents in my stockings and things like that. But like we tried to come see the show several times when it opened. We were trying to enter the lottery, but I mean, we could only re-enter the lottery when we were up in the area, you know, so it was just a limited amount of time. And then at last September, we were coming back from holiday, and we had kind of we were up in the area, and we were like, we're going to book to see Harry Potter. So I came to see it with my parents, and we watched the show, obviously loved it. And my mum said to me, she was like, I feel like you could be in this. And I was like, I definitely feel like I could play Albus. And she goes, I feel like you could play Scorpius. And I was like,
Yes, Mum.
I'm not sure. Well, it turns out Mother always knows best.
Yeah. A really, really special connection that I've found as an aunt to so many nieces and nephews. I have 21 nieces and nephews. So it's absolutely bonkers. I'm from a huge family, and they all have children. I'm the only one that doesn't.
Christmas must be extortionately expensive for you.
Oh my gosh! Yes, you're right. It is. But I sorted that out before I came over here. Oh, already I have all my Christmas presents. They're with them, and they're all labelled.
You're the best auntie ever. Wow.
But my favourite part about being in this show has been just this like beautiful connection with all the little people in my life, and them thinking that I'm a witch, and that just has been the most special takeaway, I think, being in the wizarding world, and especially during the lockdown period, because I was doing this show around then. And I was super, super isolated, and we had a lot of stuff. Like most people, it was really, really, really hard to be separated from my family. And we had a lot of heartbreak, a lot of loss. And one of my favorite things was just playing this ridiculous game where I had a wand, because I have access to wands. It was a merch wand. I didn't steal a prop. But I would cast a spell and something would happen. And I found great joy in like working out what that would be. So with my partner, we'd work out like that something would fall on top of me, or, you know, I would change, all of a sudden I'd have like a costume change, and we'd work out how that would happen. Or like, you know, I'd fall from the camera and say that I disappeared, and it was really, really special. So that's the best part, is just feeling like I'm a really cool auntie. This show is absolutely massive. How do you guys find that, especially with costumes and props?
I just think like the big thing for me, like with costume, was I remember the first time putting on that like full Hogwarts costume, and I stood there and like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. It was the first time it became real, you know?
Yeah.
And like this,
We are Hogwarts students.
yeah, like you say, there's so many things in the show that are like legendary artifacts of like this world that has been created, and like you get to be the medium that kind of tells the story of where these things go, you know? Yeah, I mean, it's an expansive kind of universe that you're stepping into, and like that first time that you put, like I say, like put on the Hogwarts costume, or hold a wand, and like actually see something happen because of you waving that wand.
There's those things in the films and in the books, and that growing up as fans, you absolutely love. Like you said, there's so many items from the Harry Potter lore, the history. I can't really say too much of what all those things are, but there are moments where I take a step back and go, oh my goodness, I'm using this. Like, you know, Harry got to use this in this book, and it's really that's amazing. That's a really cool thing to be able to do on stage.
And the costumes are incredible in the show, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, like, they're just like, the palette is beautiful.
Well, I tell you, the care that the makers have given all the different costumes, in any show, when you first do your dress rehearsal and you look at everybody and you're like, wow, you look amazing. But this is like, people are constantly changing, and they have like loads of different looks. And it's like, how can you look so brilliant in 8 times? And the hats and the wigs, and, you know, being quite small and stuff, I never wear clothes that fit me properly. And suddenly I have a jumper that to the millimeter is made for me, and it's like such a gift. You think, wow, there's some amazing lady in Cornwall who's knitted it to this specification. You think, that's just so kind.
I feel like your real costumes turns you into someone else, because I'm always off stage when you walk off, when you've pulled in the library scene, and the way you walk off stage.
Really?
I'm like, oh my god.
For me personally, it is the wigs. It's the wigs.
Yeah.
First of all, but the minute I put my rose wig on, like that's when I'm like, okay, and she's arrived, and then like getting my uniform perfect in all the ways I feel like she'd get it, and then I think it really helps me sink into that character so much, and like putting on that wig for the first time and looking in the mirror, I'm like, oh my god, it's me, but it's not quite me, and it looks like amazing. It's crazy. And then when everything kicks off, and then we jump into V World, I have this phenomenal like bob, like that's got like this fringe, the bayang, which we've named Edna after Edna Mode. And like the minute I put that on, I think like it turns me into like something else, and like I'm ready, like Voldemort, like, you know, like.
I mean, I hadn't even thought to mention the wig, but like in terms of transforming from Harry Acklow into Scorpius, I have to go through quite a bit of transformation, because I have to cover tattoos, and I have to shave all, because I've got very dark hair, so like shave all my legs and shave everything like that, and then obviously then I have to put a bleach blonde wig on, which is like a complete, and never in a million worlds did I think I'd be bleach blonde, but
Do you know?
It
You know?
does.
Who knows
know
what the future holds?
The amount
It
of people
does.
I need to tell, like, if we come out stage door and there's obviously
Oh,
all
yeah.
these amazing, loving fans and loads of kids who want to see us and chat to us and see these wizards. I have to remind so many people. By the way, he's brunette. He's got brown hair.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for him because that wig is
Yeah.
just you look so good
It's
in
complete-
it that people are so surprised to find out you've got brown hair when you come out the stage
Yeah,
door.
yeah.
I had to start
There's
pointing
been-
people in
there's
your
been a
direction.
There's been a couple of days where I've like come out to stage door and like I've been like gone over to like say hi to people and they've been like,
Who is this?
Oh,
Yeah, who are
who
you?
is
No
the-
idea who you are.
and then I start speaking, they're like, oh, I recognize the voice. Okay, yeah. And the thing is, when you come out of stage door, like every day, there's people there who have just experienced it, whether it be for the first time or for some people for like multiple of hundreds of times. I remember one day I came out and there was a really little boy there and his mum, and she was like, we went to have a photo, and I took a photo with the lad, and she was like, it's his first time ever going to the theatre. She said he's been absolutely beaming all day, and then she went, and it's my first time in the theatre as well.
Wow.
And because I always was the kid that was going to the theatre and whatever, I was always very fortunate growing up that I got, like my family loved the theatre, so we went to the theatre a lot, and I was transported then to suddenly realising this is so much bigger than just Harry Potter. This is something that hopefully could kind of spark that creation into someone new, you know? It's wonderful to see that joy that it brings to people of all ages.
Me and Tanitra were speaking about something that happened about a month or so ago now, that reminded us about how important this story is to so many people. Was during the sorting ceremony. It's the first time it happened when I was sorted into my house. Someone in the audience screamed no.
No way, really?
No! And,
Wow.
you know, obviously I'm frozen still anyway, but it's the first time it happened and it totally, everyone just went, oh my goodness, someone's really...
Love it.
For me, Jade touched on it earlier on, but with regards to kind of fan interaction, the 1st of September at King's Cross, I did it this year for the first time. And there was a train strike that day, so the only people in King's Cross were Harry Potter fans. There was no reason for anyone else to be in King's Cross. And so I kind of thought it might be a little bit quieter, and it was crazy. There were thousands and thousands of people lining everywhere, all levels of King's Cross, and they were purely there to watch a fictional train leave a station, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. But yeah, the fans, and you've touched on it as well, the fans are so with you. It's, you know, they love these characters so much that there isn't this kind of, come on then, show us what you've got. It's a real, as David said, they love you already, and they've lived with you already, and there is this kind of big sense of being lifted up every day, I think.
Yeah.
Who likes Christmas pudding here?
Very happy with it.
There we go! Merry Christmas!
We wanted to know if, like, the technical stuff in the show, like the big effects and illusions and magic, and if that was what people were expecting, or if that was like a big surprise, not to you, but for everyone else.
What some people might not realise is that actually being stood on the stage is as big of a spectacle in some of those moments as when you're watching it in the audience. There's moments that I was a fan of the show. And then you see it up close and personal, and you still think, no, there's got to be some element of magic involved in that. And like, there obviously is elements of gravity-defying moments in the show. And I just want every audience member, when they come to see it, to look at the height of the theatre and think, yes, that's pretty high up. Because I had that rude awakening. One of the auditions was you have to practice flying, and it's my second audition. Came on a lovely Tuesday afternoon. Then they took me 40 foot in the air, and then dropped me to the floor, and then off I went on my merry way.
Yeah.
This is what blows my mind about the show. I didn't even know you fly in the show. Genuinely
Yeah,
blows.
in
There's
the-
so much stuff in the show that
Yeah.
I
In
don't
the
even know
lake.
is happening.
Yeah.
I don't even
Scarface
know. I
and all
don't
this
even
and
know.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's so many moving pieces.
But there are
like-
are so many bits of the show that you don't you
I
never
see
see
people coming
because
off.
you're in the middle of doing a crazy quick change
Yeah,
or
yeah.
or you're substage and you do completely miss bits of the
So
show
often
unless you get to see
I
it.
see people come off stage. I'm like, what have you just been doing? They're like,
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah.
Bit of an illusion. No idea.
Tom, how have you found it? Like, because you've been in it for
Yeah.
quite a while now.
Quite a while.
Things have changed and adapted in different parts. Like the magic in it has adapted as it's went on. How have you found that? What's that been like?
Yeah, the magic hasn't changed massively. There's two sides to our magic. Some of it is really old-fashioned magic that's been around for like over 100 years. It's like Houdini was doing it, and it was, really, it's like in the Bible of the magic circle. And then there's other things that they've literally created for this show. And I suppose with bits like that, you learn stuff as you go along and you go, okay, I never thought of that as an eventuality, that's a possibility that could happen. Going back to that final battle, for me, that's one of the bits where I stand on stage and go, because you feel the heat, don't you? From
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, even in the wings you can feel it.
Really?
I'm watching the wings
Yeah.
and I'm like,
And you actually feel that on your face and go, whoa, this
It was
is...
like the first time I saw the Patronus because I saw it. I was in
This is
rehearsal.
cold.
I don't think I was even supposed to be there. And I was like, oh my god, it's actual. Why are they setting it on fire? It was like that.
Yeah.
It was exactly like that, but massive. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my god. And I think it was even Sean that was holding it. I don't think it was even Chris at the
Okay,
time.
yeah.
And I just was like, oh my god, I can't believe we're doing
Yeah.
that. It's crazy. Every night.
I come up close and personal with that Patronus.
Yeah.
And I will
Is it
tell you,
hot?
it is hot.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing that like
Really?
thick coat as well, and it's literally like being stood next to a fireplace.
The thing that blows my mind, though, more like the magic is amazing. Everyone who comes to see the show is like, how did you do that? And how did you do this? And they're like, oh, I can't tell you. But the thing that amazes me is the speed and accuracy with which people run on and off with staircases and big bits of set, off stage, turning a corner like that. I'm just like, how are you doing that without smashing everything in your way? Really?
And that totally touches on how it is such a team effort, whether you see the
Yes.
entire team on stage or whether you just see the tip of the iceberg. Quite often we are the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
And, even something as simple as casting a spell, I know that doesn't give anything away. There are spells being cast. We know that. Is timing with sound effect, lighting,
Yes.
maybe fire, whatever that spell is doing to someone, another actor on stage, that is really, you doing that with your hand is the least kind of interesting
matter
thing
what.
about that entire, it's such a team effort.
So much has gone into it to lead up to that point, to earn that kind of snapshot moment, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And then those people are then working towards the next thing.
They're
whatever.
working incredibly hard to make us look good.
Yeah.
So Polly, we share a dressing room, so I know the best part of your day is. But other than that, what's the best part of your day?
Well, I have to say, going back to the magic illusions, is that I love a firework. I know how all the illusions are done, and yet they still delight me. But there's one illusion, which apparently is the simplest one, and it makes me happy every day. And it's just something in a little dinner scene between the Weasleys and the Potters. And it's a very simple one that Harry does. And honestly, I could watch it again and again and again and again. And I kept saying in rehearsal,
makes me so
how
happy.
do you do that? And everybody looked at me as if I was mad.
And I showed you, and you went, oh, it still blows my mind.
I spend a lot of time in hair and makeup chair, like a lot of us do. But I visit them multiple times with my face, and I get to lie back like this. And I got to say that's lovely. No. They're a wonderful bunch of very
they're
talented
brilliant.
people that make you look lovely. And I love having a joke and a chat with them. That's my
Yeah.
favorite part of my day.
Yeah, the wigs and the makeup and the team that behind that are fabulous as well, and the dresses as well. We're very fortunate that our dresses, this wonderful lady called
Incredible.
Caitlin, and she's been on the production for years, and she's known multiple Scorpii and Albi. And like just getting to talk to her and whatever, and she has so many anecdotes about something that happened a couple of years ago where there was like a funny story and whatever. Like she's such an expansive knowledge of the lives that have been led in that
Yeah.
theatre.
The process.
And getting to pick her brain is wonderful.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's the very beginning, the top of the show, before we get out when we're all in the wings. We have our big warm up all together, which is nice, very sweaty, but really nice that we do all that hard work together. And then everybody disappears for an hour, and they all go to their little quadrants in their dressing rooms into Wham, and people are working to construct their characters, who they're going to be for the next like 5 hours, getting into makeup, getting into hair, and it's such a individual thing. And then all of a sudden, we all like find each other in the wings, and we're like, oh, like we're all in our garb, ready to go, and they're like, oh, hi pops, hi mum, like getting ready, getting your suitcases, and there's just an electricity. You can feel the electricity that's from the audience. Everybody's just waiting to see you. There's an electricity backstage because we're kind of like ready to go, and like, oh, you know, we're there, we're ready
And
for
it's
the
like dark.
yeah,
it feels kind of cozy. You feel kind of
atmospheric.
protected. And
Yeah,
we've
you
got
feel so
Ian.
safe, and we've got
We've
Ian,
got Ian.
back there
Who
cracking
just
jokes,
makes-
and
yeah.
it just feels it's a really nice, warm feeling to like jumpstart the saga. Like it feels
My
really
favourite
nice.
moment is watching Ian run on.
Do the entire beginning.
When he runs on to get that suitcase, that's my favourite moment. And then when he runs back, and
And he
can I say his
counts.
age? Or can I? He goes, he says his age, he goes, still got it. Still got it. That's my favourite part.
How weird, because every time we finish that scene and I run off with the trolley after I've said bye to you, Ian's always waiting for me in the corner to shake my hand and wish me luck for the rest of the show, and that's my favourite part. So Ian's clearly just the heart of the entire show, because that's what sets me up for the rest of the. If he wasn't there, I don't know what I'd do. I think the whole show would fall apart for me personally. If Ian wasn't there to wish me luck.
So, we've had a lovely time.
Yes.
You've all got places to go, so have a lovely
Thanks for
Christmas.
having us
Yeah.
for
That's all
Christmas
right.
dinner.
Just
Yeah.
thanks for coming to my humble
you.
abode.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm just
Bye,
gonna
Karan.
I'm just gonna clear up. Oh
You
yeah,
let me
don't
log.
yeah, don't take.
Cheers.
I was gonna. It's not really left me.